Hello there, and welcome to the first video in what is soon to be a multi-part series about how to obtain N64 ROMs by dumping them from copies of the game you legally purchased. Today we're going to be talking about how to rip an N64 ROM from a GameCube disc, which might sound a little bit surprising, but that's what we're doing. To do this, we're going to use the app CleanRip for a Wii. In order to use this, you will need to have Homebrew installed on your Wii, the Homebrew channel specifically. If that all sounds foreign to you, then please go watch my other video series about how to homebrew your Wii in 2020. And there will be a link to that in the description, and there will also be a link to download CleanRip. And you'll just need to put it in the apps folder of your SD card. Again, I'm going to skip this here because if you watch my other video series, you'll know how to do that already. So without further ado, let's launch CleanRip. We'll get a disclaimer warning for a couple seconds here, and we can just press A to verify we've read it. I am going to enable the checksum calculations, which will just verify that the dump went well. And I will be using the front SD slot. It's already inserted. And we want to download these files. This should verify that the dump went well. There we go. It's going to download the files here. Now, while that's all going on, oh, well, it had already finished. So it tells me to insert a GameCube or Wii DVD disc. Mine is already in there. For me, it is the Zelda Collection disc, the Japanese version. So it's already in my Wii, so I'm just going to hit A to continue. It tells me no disc is detected. Oh, wait. My disc is not already in my Wii. That was a silly mistake. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in my Wii. Alright, so now I'm going to hit A to continue. And we get this initializing disk message. Is this an unlicensed Daytel disk? It is not an unlicensed Daytel disk. So we're going to hit no, and we do want to remember settings. So now the disk is just going to rip. It is going to take around 11 minutes, as the ETA says. So while this is going on, I'll just talk a little bit about the history of what I'm doing and why we would want to do it. So Majora's Mask was released for the N64 in the year 2000, but it was near the end of the N64's lifetime. It was replaced by the GameCube in 2001. So 2002 rolls along, and Nintendo released a disc for the GameCube called OOT and Master Quest. And it's not that surprising of a name, but it does contain two games on it. It contains Ocarina of Time, which was an N64 game, if any of you remember, and also a slightly modified version of Ocarina of Time called Master Quest, where all the dungeons are in a different layout and they're more difficult. And yeah, so that was that disc. And then in 2003, in order to promote the Wind Waker, there was a pre-order bonus disc called, in the North American region, it was called the Collector's Edition disc, and in the Japanese region, it was called Zelda Collection. So what I'm ripping right now is the Zelda Collection disc, the Japanese one. And this disc, regardless of which region, it had 4 games on it. It had Zelda 1 and 2 for the NES, and Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask for the N64. And it also had some other stuff in it. It had a 20-minute timed demo of the Wind Waker, since again it was meant to promote the Wind Waker, as well as a couple videos you could watch. So yeah, all that was packaged on one disc. This was the version that I played the most as a child, was the GameCube version. And yeah, so let's talk about this for a second. So Nintendo released a disc that has N64 games on it, but it runs on the GameCube. How is that possible? Well, there's two different ways to run a game on a different system than it was originally released for. One way is a port. What a port is if you still have access to the source code of the game, you can actually rebuild it for a different type of machine. But that's a little complicated. It's something you see more commonly in, for instance, games that may be released on PS4 first, but were later ported to Xbox, or maybe they released on consoles first, but then they were later ported to PC. Dark Souls 1 is a good example of that latter case. But that's not what happened here. What happened here is an emulator. And you probably have heard of emulators before. Something like Project 64 lets you play Nintendo 64 games on your PC. And it's similar to that, except instead of the emulator running on a PC, it runs on a GameCube. So this emulator is contained on this disc, and in addition, and with every emulator, you know you need a ROM file, which is just a copy of the original game as a file. And so this disc contains both things. It contains an N64 emulator, and it contains a copy of the N64 ROM. And that ROM is what we're interested in getting at today, because if we have that ROM, we're actually able to use it on other systems besides the GameCube. We could use it on an N64 if we had a flash cart. We could use it with an N64 emulator. Those are the two main uses. And the reason we'd want to do the emulator is because emulators have a lot of really nice features that are really helpful for glitch hunting, such as memory watch. That allows you to see what's going on in the game's memory as it's running, which is really, really powerful. And it requires a more powerful machine than the GameCube to do something like that. So yeah, that's kind of where we're headed with this. Now, what's special about the GameCube version as opposed to the Wii Virtual Console or Wii U Virtual Console versions that you may have also heard of? Well, the GameCube version was the only one where Nintendo actually made a new build of the game. So the original version of the game that was released for N64, they actually made a new N64 version. It was never released for N64. It was only ever released on GameCube as a ROM file inside of this collector's edition disc. But it actually had changes from the base game for N64. The most obvious ones are the HUD. The buttons change color. The A and B buttons, they're green and red now to match a GameCube, as opposed to blue and green to match an N64. Also, in the pause menu, if you want to shift to the left inventory screen, you could hit Z on an N64 controller or L on a GameCube controller. So the GameCube version actually changes the label to be L. So that way you know that you're actually supposed to hit the L button, not the Z button, which is a totally different button on the GameCube controller. Also, some translation errors were fixed, some grammar errors were fixed, that kind of thing. But yeah, not too much else is different. For the Japanese version, though, it is actually quite a bit different because it incorporates some changes from the American version, but it also has a lot of stuff true to the original Japanese release. There was actually 2 Japanese releases on N64, and it contains elements of both of them. So it's very interesting from a changes perspective. It was also the last N64 ROM ever made for Majora's Mask. At least that was ever eventually ended up being released. So yeah, it's a very interesting version of Majora's Mask, the Japanese GameCube version, and that's why we're hoping to get at it today. So that way maybe we can take a look in Project 64 and see what's going on under the hood. And yeah, we're almost done with this dump here. But yes, there is word on the horizon that there might be in the future a way to do a specific glitch that will only work on the Japanese GameCube version, which is pretty cool. And the glitch in question is loading the title screen save file, which you may have heard about from Ocarina of Time. But yeah, the reason that would only be possible on... For Majora's Mask, if this happens, it needs two things. It needs the Japanese character set for the file name, because we end up using the file name as code, and so we need to be able to type a lot of characters. And for instance, the North American version, there's only the letters and 0 through 9 digits and like a hyphen, which isn't very many options. But the Japanese version has hiragana and katakana characters too, so that gives us a lot more options for code to write in the file name. And then it needs to happen on the GameCube version because, as I mentioned, unlike Virtual Console, which uses the original N64 ROMs in an emulator, the GameCube version actually has its own special build of N64 ROMs that it uses in an emulator. And those ROMs have differences, and one of those differences is common to all the GameCube versions. But yeah, so we need a GameCube version that has a Japanese character set. That would be the Japanese GameCube version. So it would only work on that version. But yeah, this rip is just about done here. So let's see how it went. Hopefully we got a good dump. Yep, so the copy completed in 9 minutes. The MD5 was verified okay, and we have the Zelda Collection disc from Japan, and that's the MD5 down below. We can press A to continue, and we don't need to dump another disc, so we'll press B to exit. Now we are going to go ahead and move this SD card into our computer. 1 second here. I'm just going to move my mic over to the computer. I unplugged the SD card from my Wii, so all of the homebrew apps won't. Okay, the SD card should be in my computer now. So I'm going to switch over to view of my computer here. And you can see I have Dolphin open. I'll get to that in a second. But for now, let's open my SD card. And we're going to grab this ISO file, which is the disk that we just ripped. And I'm going to put it in the folder that Dolphin is looking for games right now, which for me it's going to be this ISOs folder. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And it's copying right now. It'll take a little bit. It says 1 minute 30 seconds. So, yeah, while this is copying, we have Dolphin open. If you want to change where Dolphin's looking for games. You'll go to options and then you'll click configuration. It's not showing up on the capture for some reason. But yeah, you'll just choose the top option, which is configuration, and then you're going to want to go to the paths tab, and then you can just input your own path somewhere on your computer. Now, one thing about this version of Dolphin is this is a development version of Dolphin. So you can tell it's a development version because it has the hyphen after 5.0 with some numbers after it. So there was the original Dolphin 5.0, which at this point is like over 3 years old, so it doesn't have a lot of features compared to the development versions. I will provide a link to download the development version in chat. You're definitely going to want that for this tutorial, though, because the 5.0 release does not have the features that we'll need. We're almost done copying here, just a couple more seconds. Anyway, my Dolphin has some games that I've already ripped for my Wii using the same process. I have the US Collector's Edition, and I also have my copy of Smash Bros. Melee that I ripped. But anyway, so now it's ripped. If we go into our ISOs folder, we can see that it's there, PZLJ01 ISO. Of course, we don't see it in Dolphin yet, so we can try clicking refresh. Yeah, there we go. Now it has showed up, PZLJ01, which is perfect. That's exactly what we want. So now what we're going to do is we're going to right-click this, and we're going to choose Properties. We're going to go all the way over to... Oh, this is actually not showing, I just realized, in the stream. 1 second here. Let me add a window capture. Didn't mean to be doing this on the fly, but this is kind of important. Here we go. Okay. So, we're going to go over to File System. Actually, 1 second. Never mind. So we're in File System, and we have several folders here. This just shows what's on the disk. So this audio resources we don't need, this ARC we don't need, this JPC we don't need, but these TGC folders are the ones we're interested in. So if you look here, we can kind of tell by the file names what these are. So this is Zelda, the original, most likely. Yeah, it's 1.63, so it's pretty small. This is Zelda 2. And then we have the Wind Waker demo, and we have the Wind Waker movie, the retrospective movie, and this would be Ocarina of Time, but the one we're interested in is this Majora.tgc file. So we're going to go ahead and extract that. So we right-click and say extract, and then you just are going to go over to a folder that you want to extract it to. I'm going to put it in my TGCs folder, so here, this one. It's empty right now, but I'm going to click Save, and yeah, you can see it showed up. So that's that. We can click Close now. And now, whoa, 1 second here. There we go. So now, theoretically, Dolphin should be showing our TGC file, but it's not. We can click refresh, and it's here. So now we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to right-click and say Properties. There we go. Sorry about that. And we're going to go over to File System. And here in the file system for the TGC file, there's a lot of stuff, but we're interested in this, Zelda2J.N64. If you hadn't guessed yet, .N64 means this is the N64 ROM. So we're going to go ahead and extract this. And I'm just going to save it to my N64 ROMs folder for where I have all the all my other ROMs saved. Give me just a second here. I want to show this on the stream, so give me a quick second. There we go. Okay. So, it's not in here yet, but once I click save, it should show up. There we go. Zelda2J.N64. And that is it. That's pretty much the end of the tutorial. We have our .N64 ROM, and I can actually play it in Project 64 just to show you what's going on. So let me try and do that really quickly. I just need to add a new window capture for PJ64. There we go. Okay, here we go. Awesome. So now we have... Here we go. Zelda no Denetsu, Majora no Kamen, Zelda Collection version, GameCube, region Japan, yeah. So this is the one we want, so we're just going to click that. And of course it's not capturing, so give me just a sec. Here we go. Perfect. And here's the game, and yeah. I'm gonna just let this play a little bit, but you can see I'm playing the JP GameCube version. But yeah, so that is going to pretty much do it for this tutorial. And I'm going to have links in the description to everything you're going to need, which, just to summarize here, is you're going to need to have a homebrewed Wii, which I will have a link to a video series I made on how to do that. You're also going to need a SD card for your Wii, obviously. But you'll need to put CleanRip on your SD card, so I will have a link to CleanRip. And then you're going to need Dolphin for your computer, because Dolphin is the tool that we're going to use to extract the ROM from the ISO file. But other than that, that's all you need. It's really just a homebrewed Wii, and Dolphin, and CleanRip. So I'll have links to all those in the description, and yeah. 1 second, actually. Let me configure my controller plugin really quickly. Let's see. Okay. Keyboard enter. Okay. I just want to show the, yeah, here we go. So you can see this is the JP GameCube version because it has, well, it's in Japanese, obviously, and it has this hyphen dash 2004. Whereas if it was the N64 version, it would just say copyright 2000. And another way you can tell is the JP GameCube version has only 2 save files, which is like the American version, whereas the original Japanese version had 3. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will be making more videos along this line. I will show how to extract an N64 ROM from the Wii Virtual Console as well as the Wii U Virtual Console. So these are all great ways of obtaining a ROM to this game from a legally purchased copy. And yeah, have a great rest of your night.